Boruto Uzumaki, he just got folded. 3 hits. Not 1, not 2, 3 hits. That's all it took for Jura to put this boy in ninja coma for a moment. And while fans began to laugh, while they began to meme, something far more genius was happening behind the scenes that we wouldn't see completely pay off until a few moments later, right when it seemed like Jura had victory all wrapped up. Because what if I told you that Boruto Uzumaki, he knew that this would happen? What if I told you that Boruto planned it? And that this beatdown, it was the exact opening needed to change the very timeline that Kashin Koji predicted with his 10 direction Shinjutsu, where if Boruto showed up, he wouldn't just get knocked out in 3 hits, but instead he would get killed. This isn't story of Boruto Uzumaki, the Thunderburger eating punching bag son of Naruto, but instead this is the story of Boruto Uzumaki, the tactician, the prodigy who outsmarted fate by having Kawaki show up on the battlefield with his limiters unlocked. Join me in today's newest Naruto Explained video where we're going to break down how Boruto might have just outsmarted fate and why it makes him an even bigger genius than you might have realized and why it really does make him Minato's grandson. Also, if you haven't seen the chapter review yet, it is up on the channel and I'll leave it linked in the description box for anyone who has not seen the review yet. Editor tried some new stuff in the video, so much appreciated if you check it out and leave feedback on the review. That way I can pass it on to the guy who edited the video for me. So we're going to get into the setup, the fact that Boruto knew that this was going to happen. In order to fully appreciate what happened here, we have to rewind back to chapter 15 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. Boruto tells Kawaki something subtle but something very crucial. Amato put limiters on you. You don't have Ishiki's full attack power. I'm going to need that if we're going to stand a chance against Jura. For those of you guys who might not know what that means, that's called setup, and Kawaki showing up with his limiters removed. That is what we refer to as being a payoff. That wasn't a throwaway line. That was Boruto hinting that Kawaki hadn't yet tapped into Ishiki's full power, specifically his attack capabilities, which Amato purposely kept restricted, and that was the setup. Now here's the kicker. This was before Kashin Koji's 10 direction Shinjutsu, that future possibilities where he can see multiple possible timelines. That was before anything had updated, and the update in general comes in the fact that Kawaki did something that Kashin Koji had not expected Kawaki to do at this point in time, causing multiple new timeline branches to appear. So what does this mean and how does that kind of reflect well on Boruto? It's because we can look at this and see that when Boruto was explained by Kashin Koji how 10 directions work, and just based on Boruto having spent 2 years with Kashin Koji, there's a strong argument that can be made that Boruto might have known that there was a window, a time before Kashin Koji's 10 direction could account for new cause and effect branches. Basically a small window, a period of prediction blindness, basically a blind spot in the 10 directions. And it makes sense and it lines up with what Masashi Kishimoto told us back in 2015 about Boruto's character. He said that Boruto was the type of person, he's so smart that he figures out how to perform jutsu and all these other things by skipping all the steps, and it's not because he's lazy, but Boruto is so smart that he finds the shortest possible way to get the outcome that he wants. He is, quote, the guy who knows all the cheat codes. It's not because he seeks out the cheat codes, he's just smart enough to figure them out. That's basically what happened here, based on what we saw, in my opinion. Boruto nailed down there's a blind spot for Kashin Koji's 10 directions based on what Koji said. And what better way to blind fate itself than to basically have a planned loss? Boruto knew he stood no chance against Jura as he was. It was a gambit, and it was a smart gambit. That was the whole reason Boruto told Kawaki this is a conclusion you would have come to at some point. It doesn't matter that you're learning it now. He's telling Kawaki, we need to team up to take on Jura. Neither one of them is going to defeat Jura one-on-one. It's going to have to be a tag team effort. But Boruto's loss, that was the gambit to get us to this point. There's no sugarcoating it here. As one of my patrons put it in the Patreon Discord server, he just didn't get curb stomped. He got curbed then stomped, then curb stomped again. He got wrecked. Jura was treating him like a warm-up dummy. Boruto managed to cut off Jura's foot. Jura laughed at him, said, man, you're getting kind of sluggish. He blitzed him, he kneed him in the face, he punched him in the gut, and then he kicked Boruto unconscious. And the best thing about all of it was that was exactly the point. Boruto knew he wasn't going to win that fight. Boruto did the admirable thing. He took his beating like a man because he was gambling on the fact that Kawaki would show up. And it's because I think we can argue that Boruto figured out Kashin Koji's 10 directions only updates under specific triggers. Maybe it's through disruptions in that karma resonance. Maybe it's through sudden chakra spikes that imply altered character behavior. Or most importantly, it could just be what Kashin Koji said, which is that when people act in a way that goes contrary to what he's foreseen, everything he saw with 10 directions becomes useless and it makes a new branch timeline. Boruto knew, hey, I'm probably gonna get killed here. That Kashin Koji guy sure seems certain that Jura's gonna kill me, but if Kawaki shows up and saves my bacon, we make a new timeline and we just roll with it as we roll with it. It's something that Koji had not accounted for at this moment. It goes back to the cheat code thing. Boruto knew he wasn't supposed to win against Jura alone. He calculated that a desperate battle would ultimately lead to Kawaki showing up. He'd get his limiters removed, he'd have the Ishiki level powers, and he would be able to take out Jura based on everything that we know from how Kashin Koji was talking before. He was talking as if Boruto had to play that crucial role in taking down Jura and that Boruto was the only one who could defeat Jura. Koji was trying to prep a timeline to lead us to this point. Boruto took matters into his own hands, and we can argue it might make for a worse timeline. That remains to be seen, but make no mistake, this isn't poor writing. Boruto has the one thing that Kashin Koji has not taken into account: that uncanny genius IQ and timing, as well as the recklessness of someone like Naruto. It's a calculated recklessness, but it's still reckless nonetheless. Then when you get into the changing timeline branches, Kashin Koji's 10 directions, it is a terrifying shinjutsu when you think about it. It's not fully being omnipotent, but it is very close. He pretty much knows multiple scenarios of what's going to happen. He observes the most likely future outcomes, and he basically is locking them into probability space until something diverges. And as long as things don't change too much, he's basically got all the answers to whatever test is about to pop up. What Boruto did, he exploited that. He realized Koji's seen all this other stuff, but what if I make this tweak before that update happens? That's why he went into a fight he knew he couldn't win. That's why he forced the unexpected to happen. That's why he told Kawaki beforehand, get your limiters removed. This is a classic reverse causality logic. He knew that if he fought Jura right now, just when Kawaki finished getting his limiters removed, it would lead to Kawaki having to act, even if it meant that Boruto ran the risk of getting killed like Kashin Koji stated. He had faith that Kawaki would show up. That is a divergence point. That's when Kashin Koji's 10 directions failed to predict what happened next, and that's where we have what's about to happen here. A brand new timeline that Koji's seen, that he's now got to go in and do the computer's computing thing in order to figure out a new strategy. That's why with Kawaki showing up to save Boruto, we have a brand new timeline. One that Boruto created with his blood that Jura had him leaking out, his sweat that he got from being worked to his limits, and getting 3 solid punches to the face. Yes, I am gloating about 3 solid punches to the face because I know Boruto Uzumaki fans, they're in their fifis right now that Boruto got knocked unconscious. If I'm gonna meme Kawaki going sleepy time after 2 hits, you better believe I'm gonna meme Boruto going sleepy time. I don't care who it pisses off, because at the end of the day, I can make fun of Boruto and also say that he's an underrated tactician. We have to give Boruto some damn credit here. This isn't the brat who used to complain about the hard work that came from being a shinobi in the way that Naruto and Sasuke are trying to make him understand hard work and perseverance makes a shinobi, not using ninja tools and cheat codes. This is a cold, sharp strategist who now walks that line between being a human and a god. He predicted what would happen here. He broke down a potential window in Kashin Koji's 10 directions. He bet on Kawaki's emotional mind state at finding out that Amato betrayed him, figuring out that Kawaki would go get his limiters removed, and then also show up to eliminate the threat to Naruto that existed in someone like Jura. He basically was turning the losses that Koji told him he would take if he went to face Jura into a calculated checkmate move. Boruto was playing 5D shogi with Jura and Kashin Koji. And while Boruto was sleeping on the battlefield, he was also securing a victory, potentially a victory against Jura even faster than what Kashin Koji wanted. Whether or not that ends up being the best move, that remains to be seen. This moment proves that Boruto isn't just reacting to destiny anymore. He's doing something very much so like his father. He is rewriting destiny. Now, why did Boruto bet on Kawaki? Why is Kawaki a key? It's because Boruto understands Kawaki better than anyone. He understands that deep down, beneath the bitterness and the obsession with Naruto and just omnipotence in general, the mind swap, that Kawaki to a certain degree still feels responsible for Boruto. When Ada tells him that Boruto's not going to rat you out, we saw that uncomfortable look on Kawaki's face. Kawaki, despite everything, still views Boruto like a brother. Unlocking that limitless form that he has, it wasn't just about power, it's also about timing. Koji had no way to account for this shift at this moment in time for Kawaki's potential because it hadn't yet happened in the previous timeline that he saw. Boruto forced it to emerge even sooner. This pays off all of the setup that we had previously of Boruto and Kashin Koji having open tension, Boruto not agreeing with Kashin Koji's methods, Boruto telling Koji, so what if we have to tell people to do things sooner than before, if it means that we can make a better outcome. That is where they first began to clash when Boruto learned about the power of 10 directions. Boruto basically took it on the chin when Kashin Koji told him, you can't tell people this, you are a singularity of fate. And the first chance he got to say something to Kawaki, he said it to him. This is going to add to the rift of Boruto versus Kashin Koji. This is really good writing. Again, this is what we call payoff. Boruto shifting the gears of fate is a major payoff here. Boruto, by outsmarting Kashin Koji, it shows, he knew he couldn't beat Jura alone, that Kashin Koji was right. It also shows that he potentially understood that there's an update in Kashin Koji's Shinjutsu 10 directions, when it would trigger and what the gap between it was. He created that moment that Koji couldn't predict. He utilized his ability as a singularity of fate, having the foreknowledge of everything that was supposed to take place and making the changes as needed, weaponizing Kawaki's guilt, potential, and love, and doing it in a way that it isn't necessarily manipulation, but he did get Kawaki to go get his limiters removed. And he did it all while being thrown around like a rag doll. He did it all while getting beaten unconscious. Somewhere a crab crawled up his ass because of how hard Jura whooped him. He didn't just survive, he also changed fate. So the next time you hear me say Boruto got his ass whooped, he did get whooped. He got stomped. He lost that battle, but he also won the future. And best of all, he won that future faster than you can click here to watch the chapter review if you haven't seen it already.